Soccer 605, we're visiting with Brad Wedel from the James Valley Christian Soccer Program, and we were visiting earlier and found out that you were one of the original members of the first team here, right?
That's correct. In fall of 1979, I believe it was, and we had a new superintendent of schools that year and a new head coach for the boys' sports, and they decided we needed a fall sport, and soccer was chosen because we didn't have football. Couple years prior to that, they had tried to start football, but because of expense and probably distance that a lot of us drove for school, the program didn't start. So soccer was chosen, and away we went.
Yeah, well, in today's game, you probably could use those pads that you didn't want to afford for football back then, right?
Yeah, that would be very true.
Well, Brad, we're sitting here at halftime of a really good game here between James Valley Christian and Harrisburg, and it's 1-1. And I was visiting earlier with Nathan and found out that you have some fun stories to share. So, how about sharing them with everybody else?
Okay. Well, I specifically remember most of us were farm kids. We'd never played soccer before, and our superintendent had a friend who I believe grew up in the Middle East. If not, he was Middle Eastern in his family history, and was very familiar with soccer. So he came to help us in practice a time or two, and one day he left practice early. He was upset with us because I can still hear him telling our coach that he was done trying to teach a bunch of farm kids because all we're doing is kicking him in the shins.
Well, did you wear shin guards?
No, we didn't have shin guards.
Oh, well then, I guess he could have stuck a magazine in his socks like a lot of them do today, right?
Yeah, or something like that, yeah.
So how hard, it's difficult to get people to understand offsides in soccer today. How was it back then to get people to understand it?
I think a few of us that played most of the time on the offensive end finally understood it by the time the season was over, but I'm not sure the defenders ever did understand what the problem was. So.
Well, you guys have had a long-standing history here, obviously, since the late 70s with a soccer program. I'm sure it's had some of its ups and downs, and you guys have had some really strong teams.
Yeah.
This team that we're watching tonight looks really good.
Well, this team has a lot of experience on it and a lot of younger kids, so it's a good mix. We had a graduation, took away 4 or 5 kids last year that were really strong players, but we have the young kids play a lot here, and it's a good program. They come up through the ranks and they're ready to play when they get to the varsity.
Well, and it's really impressive that for a school the size of James Valley Christian that you have a full JV squad as well.
I believe there's over 25 kids out for soccer this year, so yeah.
That's phenomenal. Well, anytime you come up with any other stories that you remember, you just give us a call.
Okay.
And we thank you for taking some time.
I have some other ones that are kind of funny on myself, but that's fine.
Well, you can share them right now. We got all the time in the world, Brad.
We went to I think it was a tournament of some kind down in Sioux Falls. It was our first big road trip, and I was playing on offense, and I had a through ball, and I was coming in on the goalie, and first year playing, and I planted and went to kick it left-footed, and I basically tripped myself and nose planted.
That still happens today.
Not as often as I remembered happening, but yeah.
So who all did you play back then, Brad?
We played some Sioux Falls schools that time. We played Freeman Academy. In fact, when we played Freeman Academy that year, they had one of the best athletes that's ever been in the state of South Dakota by the name of Larry Miller. I think he even has some state track records yet. He was a fantastic athlete. So he grew up playing soccer, as I recall, so he kind of ran circles around us.
It's fun to find out some of the history because the kids that are playing now don't realize some of the work that the pioneers like you did to pave the way for them.
My son is a senior on this year's team, and he was hoping that we'd have an alumni versus the varsity, but I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Well, if that happens, you give us a call. I want to see that.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Brad. We appreciate you taking some time with us at Soccer 605, and best of luck to your son and his team this season.
Okay, thank you.